It's her Shine On RPG of Alienation. That's right. Her Sing Alive, Shine On RPG. That's the rugged prophetic ghost of alienation. This the motto that you need to learn. Though we live in this world, we do not wage wars this world does. The weapons that we fight with are not the weapons of this world. On the contrary, our weapons have divine power. Our weapons have renowned supernatural divine power. That's the statement you need to tell yourself every single day. Though we live in this world, that's 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3 through 6. So when you let somebody call you a human being, you have just said that you don't have divine power, and you have just said that they have authority over you. When the Son of God said, you are divine, created in my image, and I've given you divine, renowned, supernatural power. So to my wife, my queen, like you raised the bar for me so many times, let me raise the bar. You are the perfect gift stated in the Word of God. The Word of God says every good, so the lost that are found are the good that he's referring to. And he said, and perfect gift, two separate groups. Every good and perfect gift. So what's the perfect gift? That's the renowned supernaturals on earth all throughout time who have not bowed the knee to Baal nor kissed him. This is in the Word of God. And because you can find one and multiple renowned supernatural perfect people who did not bow the knee to Baal nor kiss him, the remnant means, because God said, I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. I am God, I change not. So if you could find one and two and five, then we exist outside of the lost and outside of the the written pages of the word all throughout history in every age. Every good and perfect gift has come down from above from the Father of angels. So what God is saying is there was an imperfect outcast curse that came down to earth. And then he said, but my children, one group is called the way, one group is called the narrow way. One group is called the way, the good. That's the lost that were found and upgraded to the perfect gift. And then the narrow way is the perfect gift that does the upgrading, that does the searching and the saving of the lost, the rescuing. The prophets of God that he called to go and rebuke the false prophets so that our people wouldn't be deceived. Every good and perfect gift has come down from above, from the Father of angels, the Father of lights. The angels are called the lights in heaven. You got it? So we raising the bar. And God said, when men raise the bar, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men. The way to guarantee that our daughters get husbands is to raise the bar on how we crown our wives, because that's how God crowned his bride. He said, if your single eye be lifted up, the crown jewel of creation, to my wife, I'm telling you publicly, the apple of God's eye has always been the perfect gift that you are, that our daughters are. It's no such thing as all have fallen, come short. No, that was Paul's testimony. All of those individuals who came out of that Babylonian captivity and went right back into it, when Paul said we all have sinned, he's talking to the Pharisees and the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Sanhedrin, and his teacher Gamaliel, who was the number one teacher of the Sanhedrin, who Paul knew still had that same pipeline of idolatry and ignorance. So when Paul made that statement, he's talking to the fallen, lost Hebrews who got blessed to come out of Babylonian captivity and gone right back into it. He's talking exclusively about that group. So if we not Pharisees and Sadducees, we're not the sons of Abraham. We weren't in Babylon captivity, and we haven't returned back to captivity. That text does not apply to us. The text where God said every good and perfect gift has come down, that applies to us. He said, if your eye be single, that's why we name Xavier Joshua. He is a bright and shining light. God said, if your eye be single, then your whole body will be filled with light. And I'm telling you, how you raise the bar in our marriage over and over, that's called the single eye. How you have had the focus from the door and your standards set for what you will accept. That's the single eye. How you have never ever allowed any man at any stage in your early childhood, whatever, to change your standard and your goals of what you would accept in a husband or a male or even just a relationship. You have never allowed. That is called the single eye. That is a perfect gift. Every good and perfect. Don't ever let these clowns tell you that you born in sin, shaping iniquity, because they can't find that in the Word of God. And then to come to Pine Forge Academy at 16 and 17 as a junior and had that same focus, that's called the single eye. Go down to Oakwood while I'm all over the place with whatever. I had the same focus. That's called the single eye. And I'm going on record so that your children, so that the world, so that classmates, so that individuals out here know that women innately desire the husbandman that the Creator is to his bride. That is the ultimate desire of every woman that has ever been created. That is the ultimate desire of her heart. And when I was 7 years old, my dad told me that when he met my mom, he said the one thing that he regretted, looking back in hindsight, was that he had been with other people, just like I told you. Your standards that you had for yourself, you had already set the bar and said, "Yo, I'm not going to sleep around. I'm not going. Listen, I'm not going to be loose, niggas. Listen, I got too much respect for myself. I have too much respect for myself to disrespect myself and let individuals play me for cheap and common. You set that bar." And individuals get away with selling ideologies to the public because individuals do not come forward and tell them about the great gifts that God has given. Listen, I got so many people in our circle, and the world cannot tell the story that they tell. And I'm creating a platform on purpose called the Havillionaires Matchmaker, Havillionaire Marriage Maker group. I'm creating the same group that we had when Kagia and Rondora was dating. All I'm doing is publicly sharing with the public exactly what we got from great, 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 great marriages. Because it is my belief that our children are sold ideologies and philosophies about marriage and all of that because the individuals that base their marriages on successful principles, unwavering principles, we don't talk about it. It's not shared or revealed to the, that's what a revelation is. It's not revealed to the public that is thousands of us out here who would never, ever, 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 ever lower, who had never, my wife has never been. The woman that they sell into our children has never been the queens in my circle. I don't even know who they're selling this to. And when I say in my circle, I'm not talking about just because you went to our school. That ain't in my circle. Talking about for 35 years, 40 years, we done raised kids together. We done ate at the same tables. We done broke bread. When I say in my circle, every time I make a move, I don't care how many years go by, I call certain people. Lillian Norwood will always get a call from me and my wife regarding my children. When I say in my circle, that's what I'm talking about. I ain't gonna make a move. My child ain't gonna go from high school to college without calling. I don't care how, I don't care if 4 years went by. My children go to the next level in their life. Lillian and certain individuals getting a call. That's what we talk about when I say in our circle. And the individuals that we call on, none of what they portray and are selling to these kids. None of what we did every day, every weekend. Kagia and Rondora and Kenesha and we broke bread every weekend. I knew Kagia and Rondora not only was going to get married, but I knew they would stand the test of time because I saw At the table, I saw the building blocks, the foundation. So the Havillionaires matchmaker is us stating that our track record is flawless. And I'm simply going to share the blueprints of the individuals that I've watched with my own eyes, that I've learned from myself, especially my wife. My wife's principles, my wife's standards, my wife's bar setting is exactly what somebody like me need, because I'm a finisher. If I'm on the team, I'm never going to accept failure. Am I going to always have the games that's on? Nah. Am I going to guarantee that I'm going to be hot every quarter? No. But I could guarantee you that I'm going to make the adjustment before the game is over and we're going to win. No matter what is off in any game, I will make the adjustment. And as long as I got somebody that's like, yo, I expect to win here. I don't expect to lose here. I expect to win. We're down 30 and you keep turning the ball over. Okay. You expect to win? I got you. And as long as there's a bar, as long as there's an alley-oop, I will go get it and finish. So my message with this, stop letting other people lower the bar. I'm going to show you individuals who have raised the bar on some of the greatest kings that I know. And every queen that I'm talking about, in every one of these successful marriages, you have a queen with an impeccable bar and set of goals and standards first that she has applied to herself before she holds the rest of the family accountable to the bar. And to my children, if as a grown adult I govern myself accordingly to the standards that your mother set for the family, why on earth would any child think that as a child or as a young adult, you get to go your own path and your own way? Come on, man. So I'm going to tell the story of how these queens around me, how I've witnessed, and I'm putting it in a group. And then we're going to travel back to the places where I met these people at. And we're going on vacation in these spots. And we're going to reenact family reunions and get-togethers in these spots so that new couples in the area, maybe new couples at Oakwood, there's no way in the world what Shirley and Shannon, DP Austin, what E.T. and Dee Dee, what D Green and Kim Green poured into us at Oakwood. It's no way that young individuals looking to start dating Don and Lois Howard, Marshall and Tana Frett, Craig and Gillespie Morgan. There's no way And the only way these people keep winning with our children is because we don't tell our story, yo. So Oprah Winfrey tried to tell a story about marriages in Huntsville and she failed miserably. So much so that she had to sell her own network. The own network was such a flop. She gave it away. I'm gonna show y'all. But see, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, you can't mock God's marriage. So now that you played yourself, Oprah, I'm gonna come back right on top of your ashes. I'm gonna come back right on the top of the ashes of own network. Oprah is a failure. Tyler Perry is a failure. Tyler Perry, same thing. Tyler Perry don't own. Tyler Perry is syndicated. Syndicated means he got a boss. He's being paid to sell y'all that content that don't no true king or queen want to see. That's minstrel area buffoonery and coonery. So I turn to my peoples at phase one. I turn to the kings and queens, Zakiba Watkins, phase one. Terry Lynn Leggett, phase one. My main man, Al Johnson, phase one. Lillian Norwood, Cheryl Richardson, Sheila Richardson. Jennifer Gill Fordham, phase one. Maisha Parker. Do you know the billions of dollars? The billions of dollars. The absolute billions of dollars that we're sitting on. Yes. All done?
Yep, I just need your signature. Thank you. You're welcome, and you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So here are two books. Here are two books. We read them so much. We read them so much. So these are two financial investment books. When ET see this, when Craig Morgan see this, especially this, we had a group where we was getting together, the whole Break the Cycle movement, and this and Think and Grow Rich was one of the very first books that he was using, gleaning principles and inspiring people with this right here. So the the, the investment strategy that I gleaned from these books and the stuff that goes with it is called the hip hop Richest Dad in Babylon, and the hip hop Richest Father's Freedom House. The Richest Father's Freedom House. In my father's house, there are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. So when I say the hip hop father's freedom house, I'm telling you that this is the exchange where you get the keys to that house that was prepared for you. And every Wednesday, the opposite of doomsday preppers. See, they got doomsday preppers that's preparing for doomsday. They're preparing for a cataclysmic ending of the world. We're preparing for the opposite. So this is man to man. We got a full court press off of individuals, the same individuals who created a whole industry, and they got people investing in properties to run away to for the apocalypse. We are the entity, and we've created Havillionaire, just bees. The Havillionaires, just be. Last Eve Vineyards, Hollywood Grail Vineyards. The Hollywood Grail Vineyard is the place where Moses went to the burning bush after he married Zipporah. On the same mountain where God told him to bring the children of Israel back. God said the cattle on 1,000 hills are mine. So he had a hill with a bush where he was going to anoint his children. He said, go get the cattle and bring them to the hill so they could get the anointing. Havillionaire, just be. Fullness of time share. Richest man in Babylon is a king by the name of King Cyrus. King Cyrus came to Babylon to clean house. Then he went back to the hills. He didn't even stay and live in Babylon. He just came to show, not going to accept this disrespect to God. I'm the king of the mountain. And y'all over here, I done seen some disrespect from this direction. And he came just to clean house. The Havillionaire, just be. Hollywood Grail Estates. Havillionaires, just be. Hollywood Grail Estates. God got the hills. He likes time for my cattle to come here and get anointed and get their father's house that I prepared for him. You in a shack? You still in poverty? You God's child in the last days. All of the houses was prepared, and he right now he's saying it's time for the wedding feast. You can't find nobody that want to come celebrate. You can't find nobody that wants to get an upgrade. I believe there's people out here who still want to go to a wedding feast celebrate. I believe. But he said, because it's a wedding feast, he said, my bride has picked her colors. My bride has picked her outfit. My bride has picked the outfit of everybody who is in a bridal party. Everybody is coming to be a part of the bridal party. It ain't no bystanders. He said, all I ask is that you put on wedding feast attire. He like, that's all I ask. All I ask is that you put on the wedding feast attire first before I come back to get you. And until I see the wedding feast attire, I can't come back. So we're going to create the Havillionaire matchmakers so we can get tailor fit. Wedding feast tailor fit. That's why we call it Wedding Feast Preppers Wednesday. Every day, every week, we're going to take Wednesday. And we're going to prepare for the wedding feast. And then we're going to do a wedding feast dress rehearsal every Friday and Saturday just to give the signal to the King of Kings that we're ready. And I don't know if it's going to take 1,000 of us, 10,000, 1,000,000. I don't know how many it's going to take. I don't know how many weeks it's going to take. But every week, on Wednesday, we're going to prepare. On Friday, we're going to do dress rehearsal. Saturday, we're going to consummate the marriage. Honeymoon. Sunday, we're going to sow the seed in this invitation. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to sow the seed in invitation for any new couples to join the wedding party with us. That's all we doing from here until he respond every week. All right. So this particular segment is called the Philadelphia USA Wedding Bell, the Hip Hop Rich Father's Freedom House, Wedding Feast Prep. The Philadelphia Wedding Bell. It's not the Liberty Bell. It's the Wedding Bell. It's Philadelphia USA Wedding Bell. We ring in the wedding bells. And there is a financial statement that makes the wedding feast attire. It's your financial statement of your harvest that shows that you tailor fit for the feast. It's not until you get your financial harvest together. That's the fashion statement. That's your fashion statement. That's the signal. Oh, they ready. You got to have the oil in the lamp. You got to have the financial harvest. The two financial harvests of the wedding feast is the oil and the wine. This is a financial, tangible signal of, yo, I'm a faithful servant. I'm a good steward. I've taken the talents that you've given me. Talents is the investment, the tangible wealth that he's allowed to come into your life. And in his service, you've taken it and you've doubled it. That's the parable of the 5 talents. 1 talent, one was given 1 talent, one was given 2 talents, one was given 5 talents. A talent is a measure of wealth. 20 years worth of day laborer's wage in gold. That's 110 pounds of gold. 1 talent is. That's $2 million. 2 talents is 220 pounds worth of pure Havilah gold. That's $4 million. 10 talents is $10 million. 100 years worth of the median income's wage, 10 million. And then he said, it don't matter if you got the 2, the 4, or the 10. You supposed to double what I gave you. And God said, I ain't accepting. If you got 4, I'm not accepting less than 8. If you got 10, I'm not accepting less than 20. If you got 2, I ain't accepting less than 4. And the 4, the 2 talent person had 4. God said, you blessed. Come to the wedding feast. The 10 talent guy had 20. He goes to the 2 talent guy, to $2 million guy, the 1 talent guy. He had buried it in the sand and tried to give God what God gave him. That means no growth. That means just an empty ritual where you go on to church and you just worried about going and having a religious experience. You're not breaking chains. You're not setting no captives free. Charity don't count. Charity don't matter to God. He defined what a faithful servant is. When you take those who don't have nothing and you put a roof over their head and clothes. Listen, giving a bag of clothes, going down there in the soup kitchen. He said, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you. So we put a system together where you can effortlessly be in your marriage and engage in your marriage and join our group and effortlessly partake in one of the different outreach, life-saving outreach infrastructure that we've already built, whether it's the Break the Cycle movement, whether it's the Alienation movement, whether it's the Good Samaritan movement, whether it's the Pine Forge Academy Falcon Nest Foundation movement, whether it's the Ray of Light movement currently right now in Orlando, Florida, whether it's It's from the Soul, Andre McDonald, which we will always serve and give back to, whether it's anything that Edward Martin is doing. Anytime ET come into town to serve, we always gonna serve. Why? Because it ain't about receiving, it's about giving. And when you give, that's when you receive. And an investment is a giving, is a sowing. An investment is a planting. So let's show you this clip. So once again, I told you, I got started with this in 1990. This came out in 1999. We got started with this in like 94, 95 with ET. All right. So ET, we was doing something when it says let your eye be single and your whole body will be filled with light. We're doing something called, I call it change your damn perspective. Opening your single eye. How to open your single eye. And I don't even think ET understands that it's worth its weight in gold. Priceless. He called it watching or consuming content in the spirit. Because we did it with this book, but the first movie we did it with was Braveheart. So we watched Braveheart together, and then after we watched it in the spirit, just like he used to do with the books. We would have a lemon squeeze. We would break down that which we watched, and we would take the pros and the cons in the spirit, or we would glean the rebukes or the commendations in the spirit that we got from the joint. And then when we walked away from it, we had a script that we could follow based off of the character of the lead character, of how we could take away and glean points from our lives from each one of these characters to be successful in our lives, like let's say William Wallace was successful in the battlefield. This is what watching it in the spirit meant. So we was doing that in Huntsville, Alabama in 94, 95. So when this book came out, I did the same thing with this book and went and found a little group of 8 basketball players to be able to share with them what ET was sharing with us. I saw ET be blessed by God for going into the Mason Court Projects and doing a GED program. And I know God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is God, he changes not. And from that day to this, there has never been a time where somebody has tried to go to our people and I haven't responded. In whatever form, whether it be Ken Eunuch at Mount Sinai, whether it been Miss Sister Pates at Mount Sinai, whether it be no matter who it is, whether it's the Good Samaritans at Pine at Maywood Seventh Day Adventist Church, whether it's the Maywood Church, period. There has never been a time where I have not been willing, because I know that's called a long-term investment. So let me tell you, in the first portion, the first time I knew that God was going to open up the windows of heaven for the long-term investment, that my wife, everything that I do is because my wife in Huntsville, before we left Huntsville, the very first time I did a large thing was my wife was like, yo, before we get out of here, yo, we need to feed some people. We need to give back. So Thanksgiving was the first time we did the Good Samaritan type joint in Huntsville, and we fed 300 people Thanksgiving. Had so much food left over, we gave it to some shelters, and that was really the start of it was no going back. So in 2014, I'm gonna play you a quick clip, and I'm telling you, after you see this clip, this was the most powerful clip where I knew what my wife was going to receive for challenging me to raise the bar on giving. Remember, my wife was the one who challenged me, and then I just went, I didn't know what to do. But once she challenged me, I took it to the king, and he opened the doors and ordered my steps and put an event together. And that's how it has always worked with me. I simply go to the king and I'm like, yo, I'm willing to serve in this area, and I need you to lead me and guide me to how you want me to serve. So at this point, my main man, Sakoni Scott from Palm Forge Academy, calls me, and he's invested in the business. Our main man, Thomas Felder from Oakwood, who also has a nephew that graduated with my son from Palm Forge Academy. Same time my son and daughter was at Palm Forge Academy. Thomas Felder, nephew, was at Palm Forge Academy. So Thomas got Palm Forge and Oakwood connections just like we do. So Sakoni and Thomas are financial partners in a specific business. Sakoni calls me. You need to look at becoming a business partner with us in this business. I look at it. I go down, and Thomas is a stranger to me at the time. I go down and I hear Thomas promote the business. So I go to Thomas after the joint and I say, my main man Sakoni called me. I ain't gonna waste your time. I'm here. I'll run with you if you'll show me everything that allowed you to go to where you was. If you give me access to, I could do anything as long as somebody can train. And I ain't gonna waste your time. You gonna waste my time. If you willing to do that at times, like, that's what I do, bro. That's all I needed to hear. So from that conversation, I ran with Thomas for almost 2 years straight. So this event is an event in Miami where all of the business partners from this company have come to get training over a weekend, and they brought in billionaire Robert Kiyosaki. And what Robert Kiyosaki said to us in this training, because Robert Kiyosaki, they always bring in the top of the top to help the partners in this business go to the next level financially. And the statement that Robert Kiyosaki made, I received it in the spirit. All right. So Robert Kiyosaki is going to say, why work for money when they're printing money? Your job is to print your own money. And I've come here to ask you to help us to set some other people free financially. I'm going to say that to you again. Robert Kiyosaki, billionaire. Now, I've been training with the man's program since 1999. Just teaching people in our community who ain't really had no financial foundation what a billionaire teaches to his family and the world. Now it's 2014, 15 years later, and the same man that I've been using says, yo, I came here today to tell you, if the federal government is printing money makes you the money that you have in your pocket worthless because it's fake. It's not backed by anything. So the more that they put in circulation, just like the when something is scarce, it's valuable. So it's only a certain amount of Rolls Royces. So because they don't make a lot, they cost a whole lot because it's very, very scarce. But whenever they make something common, it's worthless. When you have a government entity, he's telling you economies crash when they do this. This is what he's saying. When they print money and they keep putting billions of dollars into the thing, the dollar that you have, and the moment that they print another set of $1 billion, your dollar just went from 90 being worth 90 cents to being worth 80 cents. And when tomorrow when they print some more, it's going to be worth 70 cents. And when they print another billion, it's going to be worth 60 cents. The same dollar that you got in your pocket. Meaning you're going to need way, way, way more dollars to be able to survive. And you got Zimbabwe out here that they did that to, and they gone economically. You got Venezuela that it just happened to less than 5 years ago. And Robert Kiyosaki is trying to warn individuals who are helping people get up on their feet financially. He's saying, I'm coming here to give y'all the tools to be able to print your own money from collecting real tangible assets, cash it out, take the money, buy more retangible assets, take the worthless dollars, invest in assets, cash it out. Now you've just converted worthless dollars into real wealth, and then you've created and printed a supernatural amount of money that you didn't have before you invested in the asset and cashed it out. He said, and I'm asking you to help me to do that in order to set other people free. That's the gospel. That's the gospel. Robert Kiyosaki, in this clip, is teaching more biblical principles than anybody out here, any of these Christian religions. I'm gonna play the clip.
To Hawaii in the 1890s, 1880s, and the system was this. At the end of the month, they had nothing, and they get their dollar a day. Really hard. Money's already pulled out before they can get it.
Here we go. There we go.
The reason I'm glad you guys are here is time to take control of your life.
The reason I'm glad you guys are here because it's time to take control of your life.
Don't be paid slaves anymore.
Don't be paid slaves anymore. Don't be paid slaves anymore.
And like
Lincoln,
Emancipation Proclamation, your job is to set other slaves free.
like Lincoln, and the fake Emancipation Proclamation, because it didn't do anything, because they stopped what he tried to do. They killed Lincoln when he did this. The reason the Emancipation Proclamation didn't work because he wasn't able to finish the job. Lincoln created something called the greenbacks. And he paid the U.S. military in the greenbacks. And the U.S. military had a whole nother economy. And those soldiers enriched themselves and got free from the financial bondage that the British tried to impose with their European banks. So the British knew that they lost and they scrambled home with their tail between their legs, but they killed Abraham Lincoln. Then they came back and put in the Federal Reserve Bank to make sure that that would never happen again. That's the history that they won't tell you. The reason Emancipation Proclamation is a worthless thing and your U.S. Constitution is worthless. They want you to believe that you would have been free. And what Robert Kiyosaki let out the bag is that you could do today, and we've done it. It's too late for them. Listen, we done put it in the hands of all of our networks across the world. So I could die tonight and they could never stop this. The reason the Emancipation Proclamation is nothing. And the reason that they want you to believe that the Constitution is everything. You've gotten listen, because they took the true freedom when they took your money, the power from you being able to print your own money. Yep. And then they made sure that you would never, ever have a president of the people that would represent the people that would get in there and give you the power back. So every person since Abraham Lincoln has been a puppet, making sure that the Constitution keeps you enslaved and not free. Because in the Constitution, they couldn't put the British, the Bank of England is the Federal Reserve Bank. The Bank of England is the Federal Reserve banking system in the year. They couldn't put a foreign enemy's bank here without the foreign enemy's constitution and government here. That's what DC is. It is the British. That's why they call it New York. No enemy can control the economy. That's called a colony. And every independent nation controls the printing press. You don't have freedom if your enemy, the British, but see, they've sold you that you're part of the European Union. You're European, except for the people of color on the bottom rung. So all of the Europeans who identify with Germany and France, they say, oh, we're cool with that arrangement. We're free and they're not? Okay. Including the Spanish. Spain is a European nation. Spain is a European nation. So they give their allegiance and they uphold the Constitution because they haven't been targeted in the Constitution. And even though they brown skinned, because they say they're Europeans, they're claiming white heritage. That's exactly what they're claiming. And one little clip, Robert Kiyosaki communicated all of that. And because E.T. had been preparing me, E.T. probably don't even use that no more. He probably do. He probably use it. But I don't know nobody else in our group who was exposed to it who use it. And I know for sure nobody in that arena. So now, in our marriage group, the Havillionaire Matchmakers, because I pledged to break the cycle. And the number one reason why marriages fail is financial. So now I'm saying we the only matchmaker group. We are only group, couples group in the world that puts the text, my beloved marriage, I wish above all things that you prosper and have wealth and be in perfect health, even as your soul's birthright prospers. We the only people who have those four pillars as our recruiting for who enters our group. And we guarantee when women come to this group, we guarantee that the men, we don't accept no men that don't have the same standard that Kagia Kamati Scott had, that don't have the same standard that Paul Washington, same standard, Eric Thomas, Shannon Austin. It's not even a question. You can't even enter into the Havillionaires matchmaking unless you are a Marshall Fret. And not even a question about the standards. So then when the queens come, so when I go and I talk to my sister Terry Lynn Leggett, when I go and I talk to my sister Tamara Bodie, who I told her, yo, if one of these cats ever play with you, they'll lose their life. So I owe it to my sisters. I owe it to my sisters to go above and beyond in the recruitment and the identifying of true kings. You can't take away something without replacing it. I can't just say, can't be like Pine Forge Academy and tell the kids, you can't do, you can't. If you take away one thing, you got to give back two. Here go this clip. Listen to what he said. This is a billionaire, yo.
And like Lincoln, Emancipation Proclamation, your job
Your job
is to set other slaves free.
is to set other financial slaves free.
So for me, it's not about how much money I have. I got plenty of money.
For me, it's not about money. I got plenty of money.
Making money is pretty easy.
Making money's easy.
But I come to you today to assist you, ask you to assist us, setting more slaves free.
I come to you today to ask you to assist us in setting more slaves free. That's the gospel, y'all. I challenge any pastor in the Seventh-day Adventist church, anybody, if this ain't the feeding of the 5,000, Peter, if you love me, feed my sheep. Peter, if you love me, feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? Yes, feed my sheep. Setting the captives free financially. It is for freedom's sake that I have set you free. Now do not be burdened again by another financial yoke of slavery. I heard my pops talk to one of his members and co-sign that it's okay for them. Listen, that's a lie that it's okay for them not to have a harvest. That's what the Europeans have taught y'all, so that the Europeans can extract the wealth. Because God cursed them. He said the blood of Abel cries from the ground. The ground will not bring. Listen, so you have to throw away your birthright so they can scavenge in it. Every child of God is supposed to have wealth. Everyone. Before the disciples came and followed him, he told them, cast your nets on the other side, and he told in wealth. They already had the business. They already had the infrastructure. So before he took them on the road for 3 years, he provided wealth for the infrastructure that they had already invested in. What you talking about, yo? Joseph of Arimathea came and got the body. Wealthy. Listen, the individuals who do it right have wealth. The Hebrews were told that they had to serve without any payment or income because they had already committed the third strike. So God created a final diversion program. Listen, when they came out of Babylonian captivity, they went into, he let them rebuild Jerusalem and they went back into idolatry. That's 500 years of idolatry again, the same 500 years that they did in Egypt. So because some of those Hebrews responded to the call while he came to get the individuals who didn't violate, he said, okay, listen, if y'all want to work for me, you specifically, Abraham seed, you specifically, you got to go and you can't accept a dime. And that goes double for the Gentiles. No European person of European descent should have any income coming from the ministry. You have robbed God and you have robbed the poor from the Samaritans and the Nazarites and the Queen of Sheba and the Assyrians. Any European that's ministering, that includes you Western African Americans, any of y'all. TD Jakes is in violation. He ain't supposed to get a dime. Europeans with mega churches and planes talking about God. Listen, no European. God said they owe it to the poor from where the gospel came. And that ain't Jerusalem. That's why he said, now there is no more Hebrew or Gentile. He was in Spain. So when Kenneth Copeland and these clowns let you know that they are the false prophet and the Antichrist, because if they truly were doing the gospel, no European, that's why the Seventh-day Adventist Church can't be the remnant. He said, you will be the head and not the tail. If David couldn't build the temple for God, how can the Europeans that killed the Son of God and the Hebrews that killed the Son of God, how can they be the head of denominations? You explain that to me. They said, let his blood be on us and our children forever. Yup, you got it. The man after God's own heart couldn't build God's temple. And you tell me how the individuals who killed the Son of God get to be wealthy? And then they the same people that tell his children that you don't get to be wealthy. The Hebrews and the Gentiles are the only one who can't touch no wealth. God said the men of Nineveh and the Queen of Sheba will judge this final generation. That's Cush. I will cause you to ride upon the high places of the earth and feed you with the heritage of Jacob thy father. That's Cush. That's wealth. Job 27. What the wicked, though they pile up wealth like garments, the righteous will wear it all. What word of God y'all following? Well, if y'all want this is an invitation to join the group. This is an invitation. And I'm going to tell y'all something. They have attacked your children. Goldman Sachs received money from Barack and Michelle Obama's administration. And they created a financial map and a playbook of how they was going to take the birthright wealth from the millennial and the Generation Z. And they put a whole thing together And I'm going to show you the infographic. And I'm going to show you this infographic they released in 2015, right at the height of the Bitcoin. So they said they're going to take your children's wealth. They're going to divert the wealth to their children. They're going to invest in Bitcoin, and they're going to make your children of color the first generation ever in the history of the United States of America to be poor, so much poorer than their parents' generation. How can you make the people from the community that we come from poorer? This is what Barack and Michelle Obama gave billions of dollars to a bank, Goldman Sachs, and $45 billion to Elon Musk, and went around to them same children in the so-called my brother's keeper and get him no money. Ain't put no money in the infrastructure. If you could give Elon Musk 45 billion, why you ain't give the school systems 90 billion? Then Barack Obama and them, remember, Donald Trump and Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they are from the same family. And then Donald Trump privatizes the school system and does for the charter schools what Barack Obama did for SpaceX and NASA. So they got a bunch of families, Betsy DeVos, that they took the money that they normally give to the educational department and they give it to us. They first cousins, they second cousins, and they say, you run the educational system. Of course, the schools in the neighborhoods where our children are at, because they already said they're going to make them poorer. Then Barack Obama gives the bank money to make sure that the redlining that went on in the past continues. Goldman Sachs was rewarded to make sure that wealth doesn't land in the hands of the people of color that they still, to this day, say are 3/5 of the human being. And because Barack and them ascribe as Europeans through Morocco, Saudi Arabia, he Kenyan. His parents is Muslims, all that. Yo, they claim to be Europeans, yo. What has any European ever cared about the person of color other than the colonizer? He said, by their fruits you should know them. I ain't making nothing up on none of them. And you should be outraged. Any of y'all that have children in the United States of America, to know that you have billionaires out here who've been trying to get groups of individuals like us to go and set the captives free. So when I give this to y'all, when I challenge y'all with this, I don't want to hear nothing. It's just time to go to work. You already don't let 5 years go by, and they got insane amount of wealth in this 5 years. And in 2022 and 2023, the same event that happened 3 years ago, 2 years ago, that took Bitcoin from 3,000 to 47,000 is about to happen. And for you to benefit and prevent them from doing this to you and controlling your life financially is to take full ownership of your own wealth collectively, millions of us. It's my goal that 16 million Americans in the United States of America, from the hoods that we come from, take us up on this offer. And if y'all don't, it's not going to be my fault. If y'all don't, my goal is to make 16 million individuals see their first $1 million in 2022, in 12 months. 16 million. And everything that Robert Kiyosaki gave us and every financial principle that we've gleaned from then to now, we're going to give you all of that. And then all we're going to do is ask the 16 million to go get the 6 billion. Our ultimate goal is to take 1,600 of my sons and daughters and sisters and brothers to recruit 16 million. And my wife and my sons and daughters and my brothers and sisters, of course, they are included in the first that should touch $1 million each in 2022. They're going to recruit 16 million. Okay, 16 million. Feed the 6 billion. Feed the 5 billion. That's the challenge. That's called the Slumdog Havillionaires Marriage Makers. And we're going to do it by putting the family back together. The in the beginning marriage back together. One man, one woman, be fruitful and multiply, consecrate the children that they have and give them back to God as first fruits. In the beginning, millionaires on day one. And then give that wealth to their children and their children's children. And we repeat the cycle until he say, okay, y'all ready for the wedding feast. I got it. Peace.